So good morning, everyone. I'm Just Rambo from CASA at UCL. And I represent a joint work with Julien Perret and Romain Royon at Complex System Institute and Geography City in Paris, which is a Scala library for spatial sensitivity analysis. Just to broadly introduce the subject, there has always been a long tradition of modeling and simulation in quantitative geography, and you can go back to spatial statistics by OpenShow, or more recent model like Stylez model of urban morphologies, or a model for system of city. And in each case, you've got the issue of robustness of the model to spatial data, and also the problem of feeding the model with spatial synthetic data. Also, within the context, just to give the scientific context of what I'm presenting, this work stems from an ERC project which is not finished, which lasted about 10 years, which was a geodiversity project led by Denis Pumin, which object was the development of an evolutionary theory of urban systems, studying stylized fact and system of cities, constructing simulation models, so trying to generate this system, and also building new tools and methods to explore simulation model. So from this resulted the open model softwares. And what I'm presenting now is within this context, so extending further these methods for robustness within simulation models. So you all know classical issue of sensitivity analysis in geography. So there are a lot of different issues and axes. I won't detail everything, but for example, you've got the MOP, problem of multiscalarity, non-stationarity, noisy data, and genericity. So the modifier areal unit problem, it's actually not really a problem, it's more an intrinsic characteristic of spatial and geographical data. The idea that if you change the way you aggregate your spatial data or the scale you look at, you will have completely different results. And it's not a problem that you can solve, but more something you need to deal with when you deal with geographical data. And there have been a lot of extension of this with spatial, spatial MOP and so on, spatial temporal MOP. Then the systems we study are also multiscalar, and depending on the scale you're at, you have different ontologies. So this is an example of if you look at urban fauna and urban system, at the mesoscale and macroscale, you will have totally different processes. Then another issue with spatial data is the non-stationarity of spatial data. So that's why, for example, why approaches like GWR, geographically weighted regression, were invented to deal with this non-stationarity of spatial processes. And this is just here an illustration. If you look at raw network properties in France, it is strongly non-stationary. But we also know that spatial data is noisy. And if you look, for example, at OpenStreetMap data, so this paper trying to assess the quality of OSM data, and you can try to quantify the confidence you've got within the polygons within the data, and trying to match fuzzy data sets like this. And finally, one important issue is that both urban systems are both generic and specific. So you always find a universal scaling law like this SIP law that we studied here on continents. But we also vary the spatial boundary and in time, and so these are robust, so these are kind of universal law. But still, when you study separately each system, it's a particular case, so you need also to take this into account. So within all this spatial intensity and spatial sensitivity context, the proposed approach is that we consider spatial configuration as a parameter of models too. So the idea that space matters, and that the spatial configuration will have an impact on model behavior through this to be able to isolate model behavior which are robust to the spatial configuration. So the conclusion you get from a simulation model are kind of independent of the particular geographical situation you are in. And also to have model behavior which are robust to noise in possible real data set on which you parameterize your model. So the idea, we wanted to construct some kind of generic library for spatial sensitivity analysis, which include different axes. So first axis is generation of synthetic data, then perturbation of real data, and spatial indicator based on spatial statistics. So now I will detail a bit more on synthetic data. So general context is the idea that you be able to couple your simulation model with spatial configuration generators, and that will give you the model sensitivity to the spatial configuration. And within that context, you need to be able to generate synthetic urban forms which resemble real urban configuration. We do this at different scales, so at the microscopic scale of buildings, at the mesoscopic scale of population distribution, and the macroscopic scale of system of cities. So I switch directly to the microscopic scale. So what we implement is library as the generators described in this paper. You can look at it. And the idea is we've got a bunch of simple processual generators for building configurations, and we systematically explore them and quantify their output through morphological indicators. Yes, so we have this kind of indicators to quantify urban form. Classical things like number building, spatial statistics, but also more space syntax things like detour in the network space, but also looking at mathematical morphology things like image processing things are also interesting. So we have these 4 generators, like block-based, some kind of kernel mixture generators, network percolation-based generators, and some random stuff just for control. I will detail the result in the application later. I just list all the type of generators. So at the scale of mesoscopic scale, so the scale of urban areas, we've got synthetic population grid generators. And I will detail a particular model, which is a reaction diffusion, so a morphogenesis model for population distribution. So you can look at these 2 papers to have more details. So the idea of the generator is to couple concentration forces with dispersion forces within urban systems. Through this, we are quite assured to produce scaling law power laws, so it's quite important in urban system. And there is a strong belief with a classical approach to morphogenesis by Turing. Actually, it extends some work that Mike Batty did back in '91 on a DLA model, diffusion limited aggregation. I will skip the formalization, but the idea you've got your grid of population, and it's an iterative model. You aggregate a new population with a preference strength, and you diffuse it with a diffusion strength. And for this, you've got a synthetic generator. We can generate a whole range of possible population distribution, some of which are realistic, some of which are not. We can look like this, for example. I will also skip this, but we have quantitative indicators to quantify urban form at these scales. So quantify. Then there are also some network generation model. Not everything is implemented yet. It's being implemented, but the idea that when you go to population distribution, you can also add on top of this some more networks. An example to do this is this heuristic, where first, of course, you need to add node proportionality to population, but then you can switch between different heuristics for network generation, which range from gravity-based stuff like closer to DLA, to cost benefit, like closer to transportation heuristics, or also more exotic stuff like biological network. I will skip the biological network for the sake of time, but using a slime mold network, you can generate Pareto optimal spatial networks. I will also skip this. And you see, for example, like for the same given population distribution, we have these network generators. We can generate a bunch of very different spatial networks. Okay, and finally, at the macroscopic scale of system of cities, so most of the stuff we do is based on the evolutionary elementary and using Ronstein's law and optionally central path theory to situate the city, to locate the city. And this is an example for the SimpleNet model where we implemented a synthetic generator and changed the initial configuration. So these are examples of different system of cities which you can feed to this model. Another way to do this is to have more elaborated urban dynamics model, like this coevolution model, where you have your cities and then they will co-evolve with the interaction network between the cities. And this way you generate a synthetic network, a synthetic system which has both a system of cities and a network between them. Okay, and real data perturbation, most of it also is currently still being implemented. We have classical data like OpenStreetMap and shapefile and so on import, and very simple perturbators like jittering the coordinates or removing nodes and edges in network and so on. But we still need to implement some kind like some things like optimal matching and so on. And actually this real data stuff should allow to explore scenario things like simulating a bad project with correlated fields or simulated network disruption or new transportation line. And finally, So we have implemented all different indicators I mentioned before, but also spatial statistic stuff, like replay, Morand, and so on. And we are looking for maybe a more complicated approach like fractal, multifractal, and maybe spatial data. So the library is implemented in Scala. We think it's a very strong advantage of having both functional programming and object programming. It's also the language of Apache Spark, which is a huge platform for data mining. And there is also no widely used GIS library in Scala, so it's an opportunity to build a new one. And it also allows to integrate the library into the OpenMOL software, so natively integrate it and to provide the primitive as sampling within the DSL, OpenMOL DSL. So I don't have time to detail everything OpenMOL does, but the idea is that within OpenMOL, you can embed any type of model, whatever the language it is in. You have transparent access to any high-performance computing resource, whatever a cluster, a computation grid, a server, and so on. And you've got transparent access to expression, optimization, validation methods. So everything is integrated like this. Okay, now switching to the applications. So for the first microscopic configurator, we sampled districts from OpenStreetMap, we classified them, and then we calibrated the generators compared to this real form. So these are examples of a close generated forms and real forms. So this is a point cloud where you see the blue points as the real one and the colored ones as the generated one. So there's still a regional space we cannot reach. Okay, we switch that. And this is an example how you have access to the primitive in OpenMOL. Within the DSL, you can specify your sampling. So it's when you specify your design of experiment, your DOE, you have a specific primitive to specify your spatial sampling, which will generate your spatial configuration, which you can then feed your model to look at the model sensitivity. Sorry. Okay, we also applied to mesoscopic scale of population grid. So we did the same for urban form indicator scale of France and Europe, and it was calibrated this way also. We compared systematically the output of synthetic data to real data. And one interesting application in this paper of Clémentine Cotineau and all, where we have a general workflow to test spatial sensitivity of simulation models. So we couple classical sensitivity with spatial generator to have this spatial sensitivity. Okay, so this is a way to quantify. We applied this to the shading model, and we expected adding container in the shading model. We're expecting space to have an impact, and it's actually what we found. We found a significant impact of urban form on the outcome of shading model. We also applied on the Sugarscape classical model, and we found larger amplitude of spatial impact, larger than the model parameters themselves. So I will conclude because I think I'm a bit over time. But there are a lot of current development on the way to look at new things, like more natural generative model, created synthetic data, domain model. So since a few months, the quant model developed at CASA is also integrated into the library. So we're looking at Lantios model. Also integrating things from other discipline. It's really urban focused. We would like to have things from ecology or geoscience, and so on. And also, yeah, one important thing would be to port part of the library at least to more classical language in geospatial analysis.
Hey, okay. I think we probably need to wrap up now.
I'm wrapping just my conclusion slide. In general, space matters, and we think there is a relevance of spatial explicit model and spatial sensitivity analysis methods. And through this library, we want to provide synthetic data primitives. So you can get the library on GitHub and contribute opening issues and so on. Thank you. Sorry for the time.
That's okay. If people have some questions for Deuce, could you please type in the chat window? Thank you very much, Deuce, for a very interesting talk there. Covered a lot of ground. Clearly, there's a lot of scope in terms of what you're trying to do. While we wait for some questions to appear in the chat window, please hold off applause if you can until we get beyond this. Why did you take a Scala route and not a Java route for implementing this this library?
Why just choice of the Scala language, you mean?
Yeah, why go Scala, and why not? Why did you not do it in Java, for example?
In Java, you've got already a lot of spatial libraries that we are using actually. All the so spatial shapes and so on. And also, I think Java is much more low level. So in Scala, you already have this much simpler syntax. So kind of functional syntax where you can express more things. And also the DSL of OpenMOL is based on Scala actually. So you can easily build DSL, so domain-specific language, on top of Scala. So it's both for practical reasons of expressivity, but also technical reason of coupling with OpenMOL and so on.